some, let's go for an avatar, a corporate executive that's struggling, kids, very busy at work, trying to fit in exercise, trying to fit in biohacking, look after their health, and, playing hard, working hard. Give us a sort of, what breathwork, rhythmical breathwork has done for someone like that. Because I think it's important that people can relate to a story. I say it's free. Obviously, it takes your time, but breathwork goes wherever you go. And, I mean, a lot of the biohacks, you have to spend money and, the devices and this and that. There is a place for that. But I mean, I don't think there can be something more ancestrally wise that's just part of humanity in terms of breath. So give us a story in terms of the rhythmical breathwork part of someone who's changed their lives.
Yeah. Um, and there's a lot of ways to answer this question, but breathwork's like a blanket term, and we don't just teach rhythmic breathing. We teach breathing fundamentals and different styles of breathing. And you can use your breath to support your nervous system, to wind things down, to help you get calm and clarity and stuff like that, all the way to these deeper kind of like almost mystical experiences and a lot in between, right? And like just to piggyback on what you're saying, like it's the most cost effective, impactful, um, tried and tested, biohack that ever existed, in my opinion. And we've seen the craziest transformations and people just changing their breathing mechanics, and people that overbreathe, especially when they get into chronic hyperventilation, which a lot of people who are high stress, they breathe shallow, they're always in fight or flight mode, they're sending that nervous signal to the nervous system all the time. And by over breathing, they're creating all of these unintended side effects like poor sleep, high blood pressure, poor digestion, even like things like diabetes, dehydration, all these things, almost like one of those funny like side effects commercials you see like sometimes when you're, I don't know if they have them down where you are, but in the States, every other commercial is like drug advertisement. Side effects may include, they list like half the commercials is the side effects. Those same side effects happen when people are overbreathing, especially chronic hyperventilation. So, for an executive, the first thing that we like to do is check on the mechanics, like breathing through their nose, building their CO2 tolerance up, breathing into their diaphragm. So bringing them into a state of like calm so that when they're under pressure, their mind is not going to be racing as much and they can make decisions clearly. Okay. And that takes some practice, building up CO2 tolerance. But, at the same time, as we work with them a little bit longer, we really want to get down to see where their beliefs are, because that's what's causing your body to go into that high stress state. There's a layer of belief underneath. Right. So, from my perspective, the human experience, like the intellectual, I guess, experience, or like how we experience is there's a layer of beliefs at the base. And the beliefs are formed through your experiences in life when you grow up, the house you grow up in, your family, what we see, what we hear, what we experience, whether it's something really quickly that's impactful or something that kind of is repeat over time. Then we have our thoughts, and our thoughts is usually something happens, and then based on our beliefs, we'll make up thoughts about it. Is that good? Is that bad? What does that mean? Am I in danger? Like we think about the situation. Then, based on what we think, we'll have an emotional reaction, which is like the result of our thoughts, if it depending on what we discern this experience to be. And then finally, we'll act, react, flight, fight, freeze. One of those things is going to happen, right? So if you can get down to the belief level and we can identify where those core beliefs or limiting beliefs come from, we can transform that whole ladder. And so, someone who is in the corporate world that's a perfectionist may have had, a parent or something happen like way in the beginning that's caused them that if I'm not perfect, I'm going to lose, I'm going to fail, I'm going to be in trouble, I'm going to be whatever, which is not the case anymore, but it drives them like subconsciously to be the way they are, right? And so with the rhythmic breathing, we can actually help them to kind of go back to those like earlier beliefs. And that once you see them, then you can kind of change them because you can reprogram any belief, right? So reprogramming is like strong emotion, repetition, visualization is the best and fastest way to reprogram anything. So a lot of our breath works will take them through the breathing experience, kind of open them up, then we'll bring them to a meditation where they can go back. Remember a time when you felt this way, or remember earlier version of yourself. What's going on? Okay, like forgive yourself. See the opposite to be true. So we have different kind of layers of the different experiences after. Um, but that in itself is like how we can create like real long lasting change is when we can start working towards the beliefs. Now, it's best done with a coach. We have some tracks online that can do that, but it also will open the awareness for them to explore within themselves. You know, they can do the breath work and then just like start seeing like, okay, like where does this belief come from? There's like about 20 core beliefs. When you whittle them all down, there's about 20. Like I'm not good enough, I'm alone, I'm unsafe, you know, I'm abandoned. And most people have a version of that that dictates the way they are. So a lot of entrepreneurs will probably have like I am unseen, or I am unsafe is very common as well. So I'm unseen, they never got attention. Now they're trying to prove that or I'm unheard. They want people to see them because they were never seen before. And the way they do that is by being successful. Same thing about safety. You know, they feel unsafe if they don't have money. Now, if I have a lot of money, I can build a castle, I can have security, I can have like all of these things. And these things will drive people. You know, like a really good friend of mine, his dad was not around that much growing up. His dad was very successful, and I know the son always looked up to him, but the father would never give him like the validation, would never say good job. And so that created wanting to prove himself, wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard, and I'm not good enough, core belief. What happens? You know, like over the years talking to him, it's like, yeah, all I want to do is make this much money. But it's never enough. You get to that plateau, and then you look to the next one, the next one. You see people have done like better than like 99% of the people in the world. You know, like I remember hearing a story of a billionaire that went from 4 billion to 2 billion in a crash and committed suicide. You know, he lost half his net worth. He's still the most richest guy in the world by far, you know, that top percentile. But his belief was like, I'm a failure. You know, like his peers around him were looking at him as a failure or he lost this much or whatever. So so that's what kind of the breathwork can do. It can kind of start helping you to start getting clarity. And then there's another thing with the rhythmic breathing also for entrepreneurs or people in business that you go into this like state. I think it's called transient hypofrontality, where it's like this ultra creative state where you go into like a flow state almost. You know, you can write questions down before, but you go into there and then you're able to see things or solutions that you couldn't previously see before, or ideas that you didn't have before. And so many times when I'm doing breath work, like these ideas will come into my head. I don't know where they come from. I don't know if they're buried somewhere in my mind or if it's my higher self or the universe is dropping me kind of like Easter eggs saying, here you go, buddy, here's one for you. But a lot of like this business and the design of like the courses and the breathwork style came from me doing breathwork and getting these ideas on how to like make it better, how to improve it, you know, the music, the tempo, you know, the meditations, all that kind of stuff. And so we find that people that do breathwork regularly, you know, they'll get into space a lot more and they'll be able to kind of like have this spaciousness in which they can kind of really take some time to reflect and make better decisions. Because one thing I've noticed in that avatar you explained, which is who I was so busy all the time. If I had 5 minutes, I try to be productive and do something else. So I never created space to be creative. I never created space to really think and contemplate about, you know, what do I really want to create? How do I want to kind of show up in my work or my job or my business? And if we don't have that time to sit back and pause, we're never going to be able to really put effort into creation, which is what we're all creators. We have the ability to create our lives, things we want, but if we don't give ourselves that space to be the creator, we're just going to be in the hamster wheel and just do things, put out fires, and ultimately become what we think everyone else wants us to be because we don't really think about how we really want to feel or act ourselves.